Now, it's now been over 2 years since the northeast of Japan was devastated by the 2 natural disasters and 1 man-made one that killed nearly 19,000 people and forced 160,000 to flee their homes. The earthquake and tsunami in March 2011 were followed by explosions and reactor meltdown at the Fukushima power plant, the world's first nuclear disaster in 25 years. 2 years on, they're trying to cover one of the damaged reactors in a steel shell in order to retrieve fuel rods. And problems continue over more than 300,000 tons of radioactive water. New leaks have been reported recently. Workers are having to pump water into the reactors every day to prevent further meltdowns. Our chief correspondent Alex Thompson has been inside the evacuation zone around the plant to the area's ghost towns, where hopes are fading that people will ever be able to return.
Inside the evacuation zone, family homes, streets, entire villages abandoned. In this ghostly landscape, repair is futile inside the radiation area. Houses mangled by the earthquake, homes obliterated by the tsunami, remembered only by shrines from the long-gone families.
Mercifully, there is no other place on the planet which has suffered the way this region has. A massive earthquake and then a huge tsunami, and on top of that, the nuclear meltdown. So far, the government seems to have pursued a policy of decontaminating the site and one day hoping that somehow people will go home. But in the last few weeks alone, it's become clear that 54,000 people from 4 towns close to the reactor will not be going home before 2017, 6 years after the disaster. And frankly, that date could slip by many, many years.
Patrolling just offshore from the stricken reactors, a Japanese naval vessel preventing anyone getting too close. We're now just 10 miles or so up the coast from the plant. But what's this? Extreme angling. Local man Makoto Aota fishes here, even so. And catches. But lets them go.
Even if I take a fish home, we can't eat it.
But this is very dangerous to fish here. This is the most dangerous place in the world to fish.
I know that. But when it's hot, I go swimming here.
Heroic or crazy, the only person we found here had a need for normality in this utterly abnormal world. Random tsunami debris simply left more than 2 years ago. The whole town of Namiya empty. Streets cordoned by police to prevent looting. Forlorn, derelict and overgrown JJ's in Namiya is now a very long way from the perfect place for playing. Inside, tokens everywhere, slot machines silent. They ran out of here in an earthquake 2 years ago. They're probably never coming back. Hundreds of miles away, Kari Sekine has been living in exile in Kazo City for 2 years. She wants to have children, so she's never been back to her deserted town, fearing the radiation.
I'd like to go back, even just once, and tread on the ground, or just smell the air. That's how I feel.
2 years ago, Channel 4 News filmed at the high school here, home for displaced people. Incredibly, 2 years on, many of them are still here. There are over 150,000 displaced across Japan. The young adjust. Those of working age know there are no jobs back home. Retired people like Yasuo Okubo begin to sense they will die exiled from their contaminated homes.
Where my house is, the radiation level is the highest. So I think it's 90% sure I will never be able to go back and live there.
English teachers Anthony Ballard and Philip Jellyman lived close to the reactors, but they decided to stay with the children they taught, living with them in exile. He took photos at school on the day of the earthquake, children cowering in terror in the playground. And he often goes back for one-day permitted visits, getting close up to the plant. So would he go home for good if he could?
At first, we thought we would be going home. We never gave up hope, but as it progresses and they have one problem after another at the nuclear plant, I don't see how they can clear up the radiation now.
Dog! Dog!
Living in exile hundreds of miles from the plant now, the head teacher describes Philip and Anthony as samurai, warriors, because they stayed with their people. There's deep appreciation.
I felt it was important to stay because currently there's me and another Japanese teacher who are the only people who taught in Futaba at the time, so I think it's important that the kids from Futaba have at least one familiar face around the school.
Out in the radiation zone, the remnants of family lives torn apart, an increasingly lost world. The school children in exile move on quickly, but adults like Philip and Anthony come back here whenever they can get a permit to visit.
Oh, I don't like going to my house because the windows and doors got blown in, so over the years a lot of snow, rain, it's all rotting and mouldy inside. Stray cats, stray dogs, some birds living in there, a couple of rats' nests. It's not very nice to go in there now. So now I just drive around and go to the places I used to go to.
The banner that used to hang over Futaba's main street, the town where the reactors were built, reads, "Atomic power for a bright future." After the meltdown, the student who made the banner put up a new one. "Atomic power destroyed our future." Out in the ghost towns and the countryside of the radiation zone, the brand new radiation sensors are powered by, tellingly, solar panels. And by late afternoon every day, you are warned it's time to get out. The current decontamination of the Fukushima plant is due to last 40 years at least. Alex Thompson, Channel 4 News in the Fukushima evacuation zone.